What's Good Games podcast. We are back from PAX with scratchy, scraggly voices, so we apologize for that. But man, was it an amazing weekend last weekend. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by Alexa Ray Correa.
Hi.
Hi.
Also kind of dead voice.
Brittany Brombacher.
Hello.
Nice beard.
Hi. Oh, thanks.
I just noticed that.
I just noticed that too.
Christine Steimer.
Hi. I also like Brittany's beard.
Can you please keep that beard the whole show?
I'll try.
So for everyone who's
Definitely.
listening to the show, Brittany has taken 2 pieces from either side of her face,
I want
of her hair, pulled it to her chin, and then used a hair tie to make a little chin ponytail. And now she has a beard.
Alexa's would be more like a dwarf beard.
Alexa's
Yeah.
beard is going to be like full on like Gimli beard.
Doing it. It's happening.
Yeah. We're all a little out there this week.
Yes.
This is why you guys love this show though, because we're
My
wacky.
beard has highlights.
Oh my gosh. We can go to the come here in the middle so people can see the beard. Yep. It's so good.
I'm gonna braid it.
That's so good.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the podcast. Most of this week's episode is going to be us talking about our hands-on for what we played at PAX. Our PAX panel will be uploaded.
Oh no.
I just need to get to it. I'm sorry.
I didn't know that.
I just have to audio edit it. We did have a minor snafu where the introduction of the panel did not get recorded, but luckily I believe the bulk of it did. So I will, MacGyver a little
your
something
magic.
together, and we'll let you know when that's going to get uploaded. Thank you to everybody who came out and saw us at PAX West, whether you saw us at our panel or if you came to our Life is Strange Before the Storm Episode 1 launch party. Thank you again to Square Enix and Astro Gaming for partnering with us on that. It was a really fun time. We got to meet so many of you, took some great pictures, which you can check out on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/whatsgoodgames. We have some cool new content coming for our patrons this month. We have some exclusive videos happening, and of course, that secret segment. So if you guys want to get in on that, that's patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. So, today is we're experiencing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm reading what's on my computer. Today we played Destiny. So today we are recording the show on Wednesday night. Most of us haven't gotten enough hands-on time yet with Destiny 2 to actually give some full impressions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to maybe touch on it very lightly later on in the show, but we're going to do a bigger deep dive into that next week, since then we'll have more time to play. But since Britt won't be on the show next week,
Oh boy.
we will do a little bit of talking about it today. So let's start with some news, shall we?
News.
Boop. Also, I'm trying to keep my shit together, but you got rid of your beard, Alexa.
It got really complicated. I started braiding it and then accidentally tied a knot into it because my hair's so fucking long.
It was really impressive. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Continue.
Maybe later I'll fix it.
Okay.
I think it looked awesome. Oh, she's gonna keep her beard.
You keep your
Yeah, I thought you were taking it out, Britt, but I guess not.
No, I got like the Billy Goat beard going on.
You have a Billy Goat beard.
Wait, no, do it right into the microphone so we can hear you. There you go. Perfect.
It just sounds like you're choking.
Fuck you.
That's a really good baby goat noise.
Britt,
Yeah.
what's the first item of news here?
The first item of news is
I just opened the doc.
okay.
I'm looking at the headline, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
teeing you up for
Okay, that's
success.
fine. It is PUBG has sold 10 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, I did the
That's
Dr.
right,
Evil
ladies
thing.
and gentlemen. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has been one of the biggest surprise hits of 2017. And it has passed a significant sales milestone. Sold over 10 million copies on Steam since it went into early access in March
God,
earlier
it's
this
not
year.
even actually out. It's
No.
an early access game.
Yep.
And it's only available on a single platform right now.
Yeah, it's
So
on
it is the
PC.
best-selling single-platform game of 2017, beating Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, which is around roughly 3.3 million copies, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is around 4.4 million, and that counts Wii U and Switch copies together, but it is a Nintendo exclusive. So both of those combined still are less than what PUBG has done on Steam. So this is interesting for a variety of reasons. First, it's an early access game, and I know that there are many people out there that have very poignant thoughts.
They take umbrage
about early access, and if early access is a good thing, and should we even be selling games that are in early access knowing that they're not finished and they're most likely broken? Should we be paying developers to be like their beta participants, their QA testers? I think that this speaks a lot to people's willingness to take a chance on an early access game. Clearly, the word of mouth has benefited this game quite wildly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my kind of game, but I'm kind of starting to feel a little bit of FOMO. Because there's so many inside jokes, and I see so many people having so much fun with it that I'm thinking we should all play together at some point. Yeah?
No, we definitely need to play together at some point. I think for me, I'm at a point now where I don't want to jump in on mouse and keyboard and get wrecked. I know that there is a way to, finagle controller support, even though official controller support, I believe, is not in the game yet. But there are some ways to kind of jerry-rig it in there. But I would kind of want to wait for the Xbox One release of this game.
I don't think you'd get wrecked, though. This is not the same way a Call of Duty or
maybe lightly
Battlefield would work.
Lightly what?
You might get booped.
Booped a little bit. Get booped around.
Okay.
Who knew that here in the darkest timeline, the best-selling game would be a game where you play gets smaller, and if you win, you just get some cooked meat products. I would have never. I remember when this game came out and people were like, "Oh, you got to play PUBG. PUBG's the thing." And I looked at it and I looked it up, and I saw the gifs of hundreds of little men swimming in the water together, and I'm just like, I don't. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's not for me. So I'm going to move on with my life and go back to my anime. And here we are. And no, I now feel like the greatest FOMO.
I do wonder, does anybody know how much it is on Steam?
I'll look it up right now.
Not that still 10 million copies is 10 million copies, but I'm just curious if price.
You want to know the numbers?
Yeah, baby, I like damn numbers.
Speaking of numbers, I'm on Wikipedia, and I'm looking at the most sold video games of all time. Sorry, It's been a long week. My sentence structure is not good.
It's $29.99.
Okay, so significantly less than Zelda or Horizon.
Correct. So if you take that into account, the fact that it's half the price of both of those games, they're probably around the same in as far as revenue goes.
Perhaps. So, as I was saying, I am on Wikipedia. What do you ladies think is the number one selling video game of all time?
Tetris.
Of course. How many units?
7 trillion.
No, it's like a crazy number. It's over 100 million or something.
It's 170 million.
Wow.
Now, the video game that sold the most that was not part of a console launch, however, is Pokemon Red and Blue, which has sold 31 million units. So it's kind of interesting to look through this.
I contributed 2 of those copies.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, I bought
PUBG is 1/3 of a Pokemon.
It's interesting because I'm looking down the list, and Wikipedia only shows the top 50, and number 48 is the highest number that has not been launched with a console, and that's Battlefield 3, and that has sold 15 million copies. So we probably will see PUBG on here in the near future.
Yeah, I have to imagine once it hits Xbox One X, it's gonna really take off. But really, if they want to really make some money, they have to launch on PlayStation 4.
Timed exclusive bullshit.
Clearly Microsoft gave Bluehole money for this. There's no way around that.
It goes.
And it was a really smart move. That is what Xbox needs to do. They need to pay money to get these kinds of exclusives to bring people to their platform.
Yep.
And so my hat's off to Microsoft for getting this one right. I'm really excited to see it take off and see just how big the audience grows, and look at how they evolve the game over the next 12 to 18 months as they come out of games preview and early access on console as well, and eventually it will come to PS4 because people like making money.
They do.
They sure do.
It's a win-win for them to come to PlayStation 4. It's just about when. So, congratulations to everybody on that team. I know, Brendan Green, the guy who PlayerUnknown, who's been making these mods for a long time.
He's not PlayerUnknown anymore.
Well, I mean, that's just
PlayerUnknown.
Yeah, but he's not PlayerUnknown anymore.
It's true. He's not. He's a multimillionaire now.
Blue hole, man.
Started out making mods, and now he's like got a really popular game. Congrats,
God bless
man.
you.
Congrats.
All right, next story. Pokemon boss thought Switch would fail. So I don't know anything about this story. I'm just gonna read the bullet points.
Pretty much exactly what it sounds like.
Okay. So when it says Pokemon boss, who's the Pokemon boss?
He's the guy you fight at the end of all of the Pokemon.
There's gotta be.
Oh, I forgot to put it. I forgot to put his name.
Let me pull the. We're a real professional operation here, everybody.
Look, guys, we just came back from PAX. All of us are a little broken. It's gonna be
The
fine.
Pokemon boss.
Pokemon Company CEO.
There you go.
Tsunekazu Ishihara.
Thank you, Alexa Ray,
Resident
for that
Weeb.
Japanese pronunciation. So he says, I told Nintendo that Switch wouldn't be a success before it went on sale because I thought that in the age of the smartphone, no one would carry a game console. It's obvious I was wrong. So clearly he's referring to how popular the Switch has been and how great it's doing. And so he says the Switch's success has been a learning experience. Quote, I came to realize the key to a successful game is quite simple. Software with absolute quality leads sales of hardware. Fucking Playing style can be flexible if the software is attractive enough. Currently, it's popular among the early adopters, but there needs to be one more step to attract a wider audience. I see more potential in Switch, but one shouldn't overestimate its potential.
I like how he's just like laying down the truth. He's like, yeah, you need software, bitches.
Yeah.
So he's pretty spot on here. Britt, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, so if you continue to read the article, he kind of talks about Pokemon Switch. And he says something in there that makes me a little nervous about the upcoming Pokemon Switch title.
Uh-oh.
Which is, quote, unlike smartphones, the Switch is not a game device that assumes that there's constant network connectivity. So from our perspective, it's really not that different from DS or 3DS in terms of connectivity.
No!
So does that mean that there's going to be no multiplayer?
I'm hoping that means they just won't have it be like any sort of requirement. So it's not like a online forever. So I don't know. Splatoon is an online game.
That's one way to look at it, but then the other thing is like the thing that has players so kind of like hung up on Pokemon Go is the multiplayer is not really multiplayer. Like, what do you do with Pokemon in the game? You battle them against other people. So naturally, if you have this console that has great connectivity with other consoles and you can carry it anywhere, if you have a Pokemon game, you should be able to walk up to someone with it, match with them, and then battle your Pokemon against them. Like, that seems like the logical way to develop this game. If that is not a feature in the Pokemon Switch game, I will backflip off of the earth because that is the stupidest. It is the stupidest move I will have ever seen a publisher make.
I would have to imagine that there's going to be some sort of lobby where players can run around with their avatars and trade with people, do some battles, do all of the things, because I feel like finally with the Switch we can get that sort of kind of more realistic Pokemon game we've all been wanting. I just hope they don't pull a Nintendo and do something completely unexpected, like not include multiplayer.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm hoping that he didn't mean that. He just meant
we all are.
Maybe they'll
be always on.
Maybe they'll release another cable, one of those little, remember the link cables you needed to trade Pokemon?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my God.
Maybe there'll be another one of those. I don't know about the more realistic Pokemon. I hope this doesn't mean that all the Pokemon are going to get like we made them look more realistic because
no.
That would be terrifying.
That's not what I meant. I meant more of the features of like where you actually see other players and can like interact. I don't know. I would like to see that.
Are you waiting for the car Pokemon? Alexa,
how could you, Simmer?
I'm just teasing her.
I'm thinking about it. For context, the cars in Cars terrify me, and that's all I'm going to say. So a car Pokemon would not be great. I don't know. I'm thinking of like somebody did really great artwork a couple years back of what a Gyarados would look like in real life, and it's really beautiful and terrifying. But like then I think of like a Chansey or a Garbodor or like the Sandcastle Pokemon, and like I don't want
Sandygast.
I don't want to see any of
that's
that.
got a different name.
Keep that away.
No, the Charmanders and the Pikachus of the world can come, but the Garbodors can stay in the trash where they belong.
I don't want to see those pores on that Garbodor. Don't make it.
God.
Don't make it. But no, Brittany. I think like I think you're
a little nervous.
But it does make me because if they don't add it.
Wah wah. To talk about the numbers that Ishihara was talking about, I have some numbers. I think might have been in that same article.
Numbers, girl.
So, according to newly released figures, the Nintendo Switch has reached 1.5 million sales in Nintendo's home country of Japan since March. It is significantly better than the start of the PS4 in 2013. Nintendo's last officially reported Switch sales figures for the period covering launch through June 30th was 4.7 million consoles.
Jeez.
They're not doing bad.
Yeah. When you can
find only they could make more, yeah.
You were wrong, Pokemon Boss.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, you know what? He admitted it, and that's okay. Fine. You're allowed to be wrong as long as you're not a jerk about it.
Right.
That's true.
Now make a damn Pokemon game.
Make a good Pokemon game.
Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up, because you screw this up. You screw this up for all of us, Pokemon Boss.
And you're going to have to backflip off the earth.
I'm going to have to backflip.
It's going to be really hard.
It's not physically possible, but that's okay. We'll let that
I love
go.
the image, though. Like, that's a great, just like trying to picture it like backflipping off.
There's that glitch in Skyrim where the wildcats start spinning and just spin up into the sky and disappear. That's exactly what I would do. Just goodbye. Goodbye forever.
Goodbye forever.
Amazing.
Goodbye forever. Can I read this one?
Yes, you may. And then there is one more story we have to talk about after this.
Is it the okay? So I picked this. I picked the news today in case no one figured it out.
I love it.
So while at PAX, Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata, my BFF, did a bunch of interviews, and someone asked him about nude mods on PC for the Steam version of Final Fantasy 15, which is a thing that is coming. And Tabata said that if players don't play the thing, all of them naked all the time, if players do the thing, then it could affect mod support in the future, because it sounds to me like Square really would like you to not make its characters nude.
Does that mean that if there are a bunch of nude mods, they won't do more support? They won't support it more?
So Tabata said, personally, we want to give users the freedom to do what they feel is best in terms of how they enjoy the game. So we don't want to put too many limitations on the types of mods that are going to be available. However, questionable mods, this is not part of the quote, but questionable mods could impact whether or not Square Enix allows them for other Final Fantasy titles as well. He said, if things are taken a little too far, it might affect and influence the possibility of mods for future Final Fantasy games. So if there's anything we could say, it's to try to be as controlled as possible. So you heard that, you little modder buttholes. Control yourselves. Otherwise, we don't get Final Fantasy mods.
I mean,
weird.
I wouldn't be upset with a nude mod if it's only like on for maybe like a week and then it gets taken down. That's okay. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just being honest.
I'm a little conflicted about this. So I understand that the idea of mods is allowing your community to do something creative with the work that you have built, and ultimately, as Bethesda, can attest, it's better for your game if you let people, show love to your game by letting them make mods, as long as they're not exploiting the code in the back end system and the technical guts of your game, which sometimes does happen. But if you provide them with the tools to make mods and then they do something inappropriate like this, it's still technically the IP holder's right to say, hey, I don't want you to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you do that anymore. And while that sucks and everyone can be mad, it's just like, maybe if the creator says, hey, we want you to have fun, but be respectful, and then you're like, nah, dog, I'm going to do what I want, then you're kind of asking for it in a certain sense.
I have a better idea.
I guess the part that bothers me is that he's like, this might affect whether or not we support mods in the future, because I'm like, you're absolutely going to get some nude mods. Like, that's not a question.
100%.
You can ask people to be polite all you want. It's not going to happen. But don't let that ruin it for your entire community. Like, that just seems like a weird stance to take, to be like, well, if we get nude mods, and I'm not saying they're doing this, but I'm going to go over exaggerated. If we get nude mods, no more mods for any of you. And you're like, what? But we're like over here doing what we're like, being nice, polite little modders and making cool stuff.
I mean, I hear you, Steimer, but it's kind of like he has to say something about it because obviously they want to discourage things like this. All
he would have to say is that we have community guidelines of some sort. Please adhere to them, or your mod will be taken down.
Well, Square Enix is very notorious for taking its fan feedback extremely, extremely seriously, aka Final Fantasy VII Remake that was not supposed to remake. It was just a tech demo. Look what you all did. So I can definitely see a nude mod or two upsetting the team enough that they just block mods, which sucks because I'm really looking forward to the mod that turns all the behemoths into Thomas the Tank Engine. So I hope this doesn't ruin it for me, who really likes Thomas the Tank Engine modded into her games. I'm just saying, don't screw this up for me.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I understand it, Square's position. So hopefully people can keep their sexual fantasies to themselves. Just in this instance, there are plenty of other games you can
keep it on Tumblr.
You can have
keep it on Tumblr. Keep it on Tumblr.
Where it goes.
So there's one more story I want to get to before we start talking about games, and it's about
it's this one, yeah.
Our favorite Italian/Japanese platforming hero, Super Mario. So
his name is actually Mario.
Well,
Mario.
Okay,
it's Mario. All you heathens that say Mario, get out.
Get out.
He says his own name.
His name is not Mario. Okay, so Nintendo says that Mario is not currently a plumber, apparently.
Hell no, why would he be?
He's a Goomba stomper.
Yeah, so according to Nintendo, they say while he might have worked on pipes and drainage solutions at one point in time, he has since moved on to focus more on everything cool.
What?
That is the most...
Everything cool?
So it says all around sporty, whether it's tennis or baseball, soccer or car racing, Mario does everything cool. As a matter of fact, he also seems to have worked as a plumber a long time ago.
So let me get this straight. Everything cool. Stomping on the heads of small creatures just trying to live their lives. Using up a precious water source to fly around on a tiny backpack, cleaning up goop. You live on an island, guys. There's water all around you. You can't figure that out for yourself. Possessing other people and entering their bodies and ruining their lives for short periods of time. Everything cool. Not cool, man.
Also, the things they listed, not jobs. I mean, unless you are a professional at them, he just listed a bunch of hobbies.
He's a hero. Heroes don't have jobs.
He's like an anti-hero.
What?
Mario started.
Come on.
How many Koopa Troopers have died at the hands of that menace?
They're evil.
Oh, yeah.
That maniac.
Those Koopa kids just want a mom. They have issues,
they clearly haven't died. They just bops them on the head, they go away, and then they're back.
These poor children. These poor orphans with family issues.
He throws a little fireball at them, they get a little stung, and then they go crying, and then bam, they're back.
He spends
most of his time. Them in lava.
Yeah, he spends most of his time beating up on a sad single dad that just wants to find his place in life. So I can't get behind Mario.
He just wants to find love.
I can't get behind Mario.
Don't you want Mario to get behind you?
Oh, I forgot to mention. We should not forget that Mario has also been a doctor.
Oh no.
And a professional baseball player and golfer.
Mario may be the scariest character in video games.
He might be. He's not licensed in any of that shit. Yeah, he just does it.
Oh my god, he's the world's greatest con artist.
He is. He's the world's.
There's so many things we could talk about for Mario. I don't know. Kind of now that we're talking about this, it's getting real. It's getting deep, and it's kind of freaking me. It's kind of freaking me out a bit. I mean, he's a cat sometimes. Now he's a doctor. He shoots fire. He eats mushrooms. I don't know.
He eats mushrooms. He shoots fire.
Mario should not be a Nintendo character. Yeah.
Mario should not be operating on people after he takes mushrooms.
He rides a small dinosaur. He makes a small dinosaur carry his girth across the land, and sometimes lets that small dinosaur fall into holes.
So he can jump and make it. Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Poor Yoshi, you deserve better.
Oh, this went way downhill.
I love Yoshi.
Yoshi does deserve better. Freedom for Yoshi. Equality for Yoshi.
Oh my god. I love you guys.
All Yoshis matter.
Hashtag all Yoshis matter.
It actually more reminds me of like Hermione when she starts up the house elf.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. The freedom fighters for the elves, whatever they were.
I'm gonna look this up now.
Yoshis need an advocate.
They need that. They need that same thing.
Not to mention, he forces the Yoshis to eat all sorts of weird random creatures and weird berries that you find on bushes. Like, you shouldn't do that. Those could be poisonous.
Yes, spew. That's right.
The Society for the Promotion of Elvish Welfare.
So we're gonna have a society for promotion of Yoshi welfare.
Spew.
Amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the news because let's be frank, most of the news this week has been dominated by Destiny 2. And if we missed something, apologies. We're going to take a very quick break and then we're going to come back and talk about some games that we played at PAX West 2017. Stick with us. We'll be right back. This episode of the What's Good Games podcast is brought to you by MacWeldon.com. Alexa Ray, did you know that Mac Weldon believes in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping?
I did, because I bought a bunch of his stuff.
So you bought some of what? What did you buy?
So we got, so my significant other plays soccer. So we got a lot of the underwears because apparently it's a very sad time when you have underwear that doesn't let you breathe while you play sports.
This is true. Breathable underwear is very important.
And he got a bunch of them and he actually really liked it. They were super comfortable. I know their big thing is like the moisture wicking anti-odor stuff. And I sweat a lot when I work out, so I actually borrowed one of those t-shirts and I completed a Soul Cycle class in a Mac Weldon t-shirt.
Amazing.
And I did not stink.
That's fantastic. You know why
Very
you
comfy.
don't stink? It's because they have a whole silver line of products which means they're naturally antimicrobial, which means they eliminate odor for all of you people who have trouble understanding big words like I do sometimes. But I want you guys to know they don't just have underwear and shirts. They also have hoodies and socks.
The socks are real cute.
And a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So you can pick out a variety of colors and patterns. And when you do so, make sure when you're at your checkout, you enter in our special promo code WGG to get 20% off your entire order. That's at MacWeldon.com in case you missed it at the beginning. And make sure when you are ready to check out with all of your antimicrobial silver underwear, hoodie, sock packages, do it. Put in that code WGG to save 20% off of your order. Welcome back, everybody. It is time to talk about hands-on impression video games. So, we played some games at PAX West, and we played a bunch of different types of games. So maybe let's start with the game that we all played first.
Together?
Well, actually, Alexa, I don't know if you played that. Who wasn't there? Brittany?
Brittany wasn't there.
You didn't play Monster Prom.
Our unnamed PA subbed in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So okay, there was a game that we played. So at our panel, one of our awesome fans came up. Was it Rihanna that came up to us and said that?
There was two dudes. Whether one was a dude.
Was it a dude?
It was a
I don't
guy.
remember who said it.
It was a
And I
man.
apologize,
multiple
person
people came up.
listening. I forgot your name because I'm a bad person.
They tweeted it at us. I'll go find it later, but it's like 1,000
But
tweets
everybody
in the
like
past.
they were like, go play Monster Prom. So we went and played Monster Prom. So not Brittany, excuse me. Alexa, explain what Monster Prom is.
Monster Prom is a dating simulator in which you are a monster in a high school of monsters. You play with up to 3 friends, passing the controller, and you have to try and woo one of the coolest monsters in school to go to the prom with you. And
So it's like a competitive dating sim, basically.
It is a competitive dating sim. all 4 of you, not all of you will win your date. You can, as we learned, sometimes you don't get to go to the prom because you're really terrible at social interaction. And it plays out sort of like a visual novel. It's text-based, and you have action options where, for example, you have to play a prank on a teacher, and there's a ghost and a werewolf. And the werewolf is like this hunky jock, and the ghost is like this really cute, like ghosty girl. And they're like, we're going to prank the teacher. What should we do? And they ask you. And the teacher's a vampire. So you can either do something. I forgot the other option because we didn't pick it. Or I didn't pick it. There was an option that was less benign, like a very like silly textbook kind of prank.
No, the first option was open the blinds.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
the
she'll
first
turn into dust.
Yeah, it
like,
was
really like murder.
Like kill them.
It was open the blinds. Wow. And then the second option was tell her there's something on her face. She won't be able to check because she's a vampire, so she can't see her reflection. And I picked that one, the one where there's something on your face. And the teacher walks into the room, and this douchebag other vampire in my class, Liam the shitty hipster vampire,
the worst.
the hipster vampire, told the teacher that we were going to play a prank on him, and we all got detention. And all of them were like, "You're the worst. You suck. Goodbye." But it's decisions like that, basically.
And what's interesting about it is the first round of decisions that I made, I got frustrated because I lost points because I didn't really understand. And then it became clear that you have to keep an eye on your stats. So you have stats for like creativity, boldness, smarts, etc. And so you have to look at the questions and go, do my stats have an effect on how I'm going to answer? And like the short answer is yes. But like the long answer is like, okay, so now I need to figure out if I was going to make this choice, would my character make this choice because they're creative, because they're bold, because they're smart? And that to me was really interesting how those stats really affected, the overall gameplay. And
it makes you play to your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess
you
I
can't
just really look at my strengths and weaknesses before I picked my character. I just picked her because she was red, and her name was Red. You get to pick your own name eventually, but her name in the demo was Red.
So what I want to know.
Nah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm
not kidding. To the point of like you can't just pick what you want. Like the reason that it didn't work, I had a train of thought going, and it derailed, and I'm trying to bring it back around, but we'll see how this goes. Is that you weren't bold enough, I think, to make that one choice, or like you didn't have like the right kind of stats in order to make it. So you can't just pick the funny one, which is what we did. I did it too, and I failed at the thing. I was really sad.
Prom.
I did. I somehow managed to get someone to like me enough to take me to prom, but I don't know.
And that was my question.
Happened.
Did anyone go to prom?
I mean, technically no, because that's not part of the demo.
Yeah.
But I was the only one in a suit at the end of it, meaning I think I was the only one on that way to go to prom at some point.
My ending specifically said you are bad at social interaction. You don't get to go to prom. I was like, okay.
It did say that.
Yeah, I
really say on yours, Andrea?
I don't remember what mine said. I think I messed up too many times to get even close to getting somebody to like me. And so what's interesting about it is that there are certain situations where you have to choose if you want to curry favor with the monster you're going to ask to prom, or if you want to raise your stats, which then might help you in a conversation with your, crush later on in the game. And I thought that was a really interesting concept so the part that we played was picking a seat at a table in the lunchroom. And so you had to strategically pick, okay, which people do I want to sit next to? Do I want to sit next to the person I want to ask and hope that we can like strike up a conversation and they'll start to like me? Do I want to sit next to somebody I've never talked to before and maybe they'll help me boost my stats in another area? And then there's also a shop mechanic. So I sat down at a table next to this like weird like cat character. And he like opened his jacket and was like, "You want to buy my stuff?" Oh. And it was like all kinds of weird, random
fan
stuff.
fiction, cocaine, a used tampon.
Yeah, it was The weirdest
Yeah,
stuff.
it was weird.
A mobile app clearly meant to make fun of Clash of Clans.
That was funny.
Something
That was
else. It was really tongue in cheek and like really interesting. And the developer was saying that some of these items can come into play if you have them on you. Like for example, if you have there's a romance novel, like a dragon romance novel, and if you have it on you in the game and you talk to another character, the characters will be like, "Oh, wait a minute, you read that too," and you can actually get bonus points with or work on that relationship with someone if they see that you have this book because you both like the same book. I actually really liked I thought the writing was really funny, and I thought the characters were all really unique.
Yeah, I thought they were great. The art style was also really well done. They really had a very unique sense of style. Polly the ghost was always like in these like short shorts, and like her bra was always showing through her shirt in some way.
She's
She
a party
was just,
girl.
like at the high ponytail with like the glasses on her head, like very like like A-list popular girl at school. She's like Cher from Clueless, essentially.
You could very easily identify their stereotypes by looking at them and like who they're even though
I
they're
kind of like how there was a
monsters.
twist on it. Like Scott the werewolf was like dressed up in a Letterman jacket, clearly meant to be like the jockey football player, but he also had like a super big heart and always wanted to do the kind right thing. But he's a werewolf, which I thought was a really interesting choice.
I like the Medusa lady with the snake head who's like an uber feminist who's like trying to like wheel and deal and like do business stuff, and she's like a very like business minded character.
Yeah.
I liked her. She was my favorite.
So when does this game come out, or is it out?
It's not out.
It's not out yet, so it's out very soon.
The
He said he was
told us-
targeting October, right?
He said October or February because like the holiday is like is dead time for indie games. So we'll get it sooner.
I just wanted to say a little bit about the people who are making this. So it's from a group called Beautiful Glitch, and they're based in Barcelona. And so this actually got funded on Kickstarter. And so there's a couple different people involved in making the game. And if you guys want to learn more about the game, you can check it out at monsterprom.pizza, which is kind of an
That's amazing.
I love it.
On their site, they say in 3 weeks is when the game is going to come out. But since we spoke to him, it sounds like they maybe are a little bit behind schedule, which is, they're a very, very, very small team. So it's not surprising. But
It's really fun.
We're hopefully going to do a Let's Play with all four of us, since that would be really fun. And maybe we can stream that with you guys. But that was a cool game that we saw. Brittany.
Hello.
You played some other stuff at PAX.
I did. So this PAX was really, I feel like I was always going somewhere or doing something, but I only got to see about 6 games, so I don't know how that happened. So the games I went hands-on with were Secret of Mana, which I talked about briefly at our panel, and Alexa, I know you went hands-on with this too. Sounds great, looks great. Really excited to see like how that evolves, and they're not making any other changes to it, are they? Except for
There's
nothing.
There's the voice acting.
The voice acting and the music has like the music
soundtrack.
sounds. The music sounds the same, but there's some extra like beeps and boops in the background. But it still sounds fantastic. I got to play Is it Sphear or Sphere?
Lost Sphere.
It's Sphere for maybe like 15 minutes, and then we may or may not have had a party to go to. It may not have been the Life is Strange party, so I had to cut that short.
But that for like an hour.
Huh?
I played that game for an hour. I'll talk about it later. But
yeah, I would love to hear, because I loved I Am Setsuna, I like to call it I Am Satsuma because it sounds like the orange, and looks like it has a lot more potential. I would love to play it more. The other game I played, I can't talk about because it's under embargo. I played 9 Parchments at the ID at Xbox event, which is the top-down action RPG game. But got to play that for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. But unfortunately, I think the developers were really, really exhausted, and they couldn't really answer any of my questions, and they didn't seem very excited, so that demo kind of got cut short. I love you guys very much. If you're listening, just, something I learned from that appointment, not to like rant, but if you're in the middle of a demo appointment and the developers, like I understand they're probably exhausted, and they're probably been doing that all day. But if they don't seem really engaged, it really kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth with the demo.
Yeah.
You guys ever experienced that?
Yeah, that's fair. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
You made this, so like I want you to be excited about it.
I think that goes both ways because I've been in appointments where I was really excited, but it was clear that another media person, whether it be a streamer or a journalist who was there, and they clearly weren't interested in the game, and you could tell that like the dev was kind of mad about that. I think you're right in saying like, hey, I'm here taking the time. All parties involved should be, polite enough to show some interest, to learn about what you're there. Otherwise, like, maybe just don't do the appointment.
Yeah, like I know if you are like media or whatever, if you take appointments, like don't be that person that comes into the appointment and like you said sits there and is like curmudgeonly, or like especially in a group demo, because a group demo can really be made or broken by the attitudes of everyone in it.
Yeah.
And some of the best group demos I had, like I played Monster Hunter World, which I'll talk about later, but I played actually with Brandon Jones and with our unnamed PA and some rando dude. And rando dude, never met him before, sat down with us, and the four of us just together were all really excited about the game, and we killed our first monster together in like under 10 minutes. And like the demo, Capcom was really impressed with us. So like that kind of experience, like even like come in excited. You get to play a video game at a convention. Like don't be the person that comes in and is just like, well, it's a video game. Like
and for Britt, for your specific situation, I would hope that you would, remember, and other people out there who've had your experience where they kind of got snubbed by someone from the development team would remember that they're just one person of potentially hundreds of people who made this game and who have worked on this game and who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this, to this piece of art, this piece of software. It sucks that one person, kind of tainted your experience with the game. And I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I think that's great advice, too. Just remember, they're probably exhausted and they're probably on their wits' end. But it's okay. I mean, I'm still very interested in the game. It was fun to play. It was really difficult, which is fun when you're playing a cooperative game. The other thing I played was with you, Andrea, and that was The Crew 2.
Yeah, that was fun.
We had a lot of fun. And yes, Summer, you watched us. So I'm really bad at all things driving, any driving levels, anything racing. Except for Mario Kart, I'd give myself a solid D+ on that. But all the other games, pretty much an F. That was fun. What were your thoughts, Andrea, on The Crew 2?
So I didn't play a whole lot of the original The Crew, but I really loved the way that they did multiplayer. And they brought that back in force and then some this time. So we played on PC was it 1080p or 4K? I can't remember. But it looked gorgeous. 1080. Mm-hmm. The water effects were fantastic. The environments and all of the art, the lighting, everything. The game looked beautiful and it played super smooth. So the big thing with The Crew this time around is that they've added all these different types of vehicles. So in addition to cars, there's boats and
can you drive planes. A boat on a street?
Yeah, so here's the thing.
Close.
It's like seamless transition from vehicle to vehicle type.
Oh, shut the front door.
You literally hold, and we have some gameplay that we're hopefully going to get edited. You hold like the left stick down, and a radial wheel comes up. You select the boat, and you instantly change into the boat. And if you're in the sky, like if you were flying, your boat just falls from the sky and lands wherever it lands.
Wow.
So the idea would be to be a plane and then go over water and then
become a boat
and then like smoothly land the boat on the water and just keep going right away. But if you're like me, you accidentally change into a boat when you're in the middle of a forest.
Oh, that was so funny. That was great. So I looked over and I see like this like lopsided boat like stuck between trees. I was like, oh, Andrea.
I was like, whoops. So I mean, you can attempt to drive the boat. But like you won't get very far, and then you have to change back into the car and get closer to the water.
Plane.
But it was cool because then she and I both became changed into boats and then tried to meet up with each other, and we kind of just like zoomed past each other in the water. But they added this really neat replay feature where you can like pause and then rewind and watch it like you're rewinding a video and go back, and then you can replay the scene and watch it and do like these cool cinematic moments with it, which is like a really fun feature, especially so smart to do something like that and then integrate like social media sharing to be like, oh my God, look at I fell from the sky as a boat, and like click it out and post it on Twitter. Like they did a really excellent job with that game. And I think a lot of people aren't going to try it because they're like, racing games.
Well, I'm really curious to see how the lore of the crew explains being able to change the vehicle you're in at whim.
You know what?
Like, what is the lore reason for being able to become a boat whenever you want? Because don't they like you said the crew was like a more realistic feeling driving game. So surprise! I'm interested to see if they have like a very detailed explanation for like surprise boat.
Well, I will say when you use the word realistic, I want to be clear. This is not a simulation game whatsoever. This is 100% arcade. Because when we were driving, Britt and I did a couple different races. The one time when we did the dirt bike race, we both almost threw up. We were like, got really dizzy.
Oh boy!
The F1 race that we did with the cars with like giant wheels and everything. We played bumper cars a little bit and it was fun. There was like no car destruction really. So
no.
Yeah, so I was talking to, do you remember who he was, Andrea? The guy who was kind of coaching us through our demo. I cannot remember. I don't know if it was a creative director. Yeah. Anyway, so I was curious because this is totally not my kind of game. So I'm like, okay, so you have this cool rewind feature. You have all these cinematic things. Like, why? And he said that, like Andrea was mentioning earlier, that players spend dozens of hours creating like movies and short films and using all of this and like uploading it for all their friends, and they have like competitions, and I thought that was really interesting. And so it's this big open world map.
In the United States.
In the United States, were we on the East Coast? I know there's
we were in New York.
Yeah. Okay, and it's huge, and there's little what are they called? Like mini games that you can do throughout the map. Like you can try to like fly through hoops if you're in the airplane, or if you like land as a boat, you can try to like make jumps. And so you can essentially just grab friends, be like, hey, let's explore and let's try to beat each other's top scores and leaderboards and that sort of thing.
And what was really, really impressive, if you guys played the original game, you could zoom out of the map and then zoom in to a different part of the United States. And it's a pretty accurate geographical representation of that section of the country. And they did that this time, but like the amount of detail in the zoom. So like, let's say I'm in the car and then I want to zoom out of the map. I just hit the map button and then I hold like the trigger and it starts to zoom out, and I can like see the city, and I can kind of like fly with the camera through the city, or I can zoom out a little bit more and just see the entire area around New York, or I can zoom out even more and then see like all of New England, and then you can just zoom the camera down and then zoom back in, and it seamlessly goes right back down to street level.
That's too intense.
In the other area of the map. And I watched it, I was like, this is incredible. This is like a visual feat that I have not seen. And I was very impressed.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a good game if you want to just lose yourself in a world, if like you like realistic cities and all that sorts of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go in there and drive around. Yay.
If you like realistic cities.
Well, I say that, and again, I'm exhausted. But like for me, like I can't play games like Watch Dogs and Grand Theft Auto because the setting is too realistic for me. So I don't like lose myself in those settings. But a lot of people do. So there you go. If it was
this
like,
one though, the pedestrians are unkillable.
Right, you can't kill the pedestrians.
Oh man,
they like dive bomb out of the way.
Yeah,
like,
it's not that kind of game. Yeah.
I know, but I was like, Britt, just try. I want to see like how, like if you
Steimer being like, kill somebody, run somebody.
Well, Steimer and I are on the same page here.
How have they programmed them to stay alive? I want to know. I guess they like jump over your car. I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. Got some acrobats in the city.
So that game is coming out in March next year, so they still have a little ways to go. Steimer.
Yeah.
You and I played some Assassin's Creed.
We did indeed.
I watched you play.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed Origins coming out in like 8 weeks?
October something.
October 27th, I believe. Let me look.
I didn't get to tell this story on the panel, but Brittany made me a horrible person.
What did she do?
I don't even know if you were paying attention, Andrea, at this point. I think you were doing your own thing.
Oh.
You made me kill civilians and try to poison them.
Okay, so
no, I remember.
So in your skill tree, there is a skill you can unlock that allows you to set out poison, and then it infects those around them, and they start coughing. And then, do you have to infect a corpse?
Yes.
Okay, so you infect a corpse, and then people come around, and then they start coughing, blah, blah. I'm like, can you massacre an entire city this way? Can you kill a civilian, infect them, and just throw them in the middle of the town, and the whole town falls? You cannot. I was curious.
I know, but I was like, that's really
how
mean.
far can this destruction go?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And we did it. And no, you cannot infect. The only people you can infect are dead soldiers. So we just dumped their bodies, civilian bodies, into the water and sacrificed them to the crocodile gods.
Oh, we did.
I hadn't spent really a lot of time at all with Assassin's Creed Origins before this demo. And I am a longtime Assassin's Creed fan. I've played every single Assassin's Creed game. And you guys can't see it right now, but I have Assassin's Creed statues all in the studio here, and I've really, really just liked the franchise. But for some reason, this game just wasn't speaking to me. I know that they took a year off, and the game looks great. We played it in 4K on an Xbox One X, and man, did that sell me on Xbox One X, which is the conversation for later in the show. But I did really turn around my opinion quite a bit once I got the chance to play. I think I'm still kind of like on the fence about Bayek as a character. I think I'm just a little bit like, okay, I need to learn more about who this guy is, because in the demo that I played, he didn't seem to have very much personality. I think the reason why I fell in love with Ezio so much, because he had this like charm about him, even though he was very like murdery.
Like Nathan Drake.
Yeah, it's just like he still had this kind of like allure to him in a very whimsical way. He was kind of romantic in a sense, almost, and that's why I think I really liked him as a character. He's very dashing, and like Bayek so far, from what I've seen, I played about an hour. I was just like, I don't know, and like I'm fully admitting it's a very small slice of what's probably like a 50 to 75 hour game, right? So I need to see a little bit more. I will say the environments were very detail rich. The art direction is exquisitely done. I have known from my previous times covering the studios across Ubisoft that work on Assassin's Creed from many different parts of the world that they take their job very seriously when it comes to the art direction of these games, and it shows a lot of the detail down to like the pottery that's on the merchant's table that you're running by, the plants that are in the water as you're swimming through it, and how they're also such an accurate representation of that part of Egypt. And it's just it's really impressive to see just how much detail they've put into the world. I remember when Unity came out and we were doing a demo running through some of these houses in Paris, and I was just like, it blew my mind, just down to like the smallest little thing inside these places where most players aren't even going to stop to look at, that some artist had to draw that and paint it and then put lighting effects on it, right? Like the sheer amount of work that went into really making this world feel authentic and immersive. And so I if nothing else, like hats off to the teams at Ubisoft for creating a very beautiful game to just be in. But I got to ride a camel, so that was pretty cool. I'm sold.
No, you rode the horse. I rode the camel.
Excuse me.
Did you switch?
I also rode the camel because I diversified my mount experience.
Wait, what happened?
I rode both of them, Steimer.
Oh, okay. I only rode the camel. I remember you being like, I don't want to ride a camel. I got this pretty horse. And I was like,
it's
no way,
because you were sassing me about my horse. You're like, you should ride the camel. And then Andy, one of the guys who works at Ubisoft, was like, well, the camel is more region appropriate. And I was like, fine, Andy, I'll ride the camel.
Yeah. I think it was interesting how you were saying you weren't as excited about this one being an Assassin's Creed fan, whereas I have not really played an Assassin's Creed since the first one. And I'm excited about
the original Assassin's Creed?
The OG. I've played like a few, like an hour or two of Assassins, the like Ezio ones. Never really grabbed me. And I've been having fun with the demos that I've been playing. for Origins. So at E3, I think I had more fun though at the E3 one. That's because they've switched up the controls so much for this one that it was really difficult for me to get the combat down right, whereas I felt like I had a really good grasp of it at E3, and I was like, okay, I'm doing well here. Like I can I'll play this game when it comes out. And then they completely switched some of the buttons. So instead of hitting people with X, you got to hit them with the right bumper, which I don't want to do. That's not how my brain is programmed.
I don't want to do it this way.
I have to imagine that they're going to allow for multiple controller layouts. They have in the past, so I don't know why they wouldn't, but I agree. It was a really odd choice to map the heavy and light attacks to the right bumper and the right trigger instead of, the square and triangle or X and Y buttons.
Yeah, it was
I don't
weird
know why they did that, but they did that. So
yeah, they did that, and it was a little difficult. It took me a while to get a handle on the combat because of that. But they had some fun things in there, like we just mentioned, poisoning people, letting the other guards come get also poisoned. Eventually, we'll get animal friends. We've talked about that on the panel. I won't go into too much about that.
Hippos.
And then also some new weapons. So was there a heavy weapon like a mace before? I don't know. I'm not an Assassin's Creed person, so Andrea, you'll have to answer that.
There were. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a variety. There's always been a variety of weapons, from smaller, faster weapons to the more heavier, slow-moving weapons. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I played around with the mace for a little bit. That was too slow. Ended up being too slow for me, and I ended up with the two stabby knives.
Knives.
You did.
They're called something. They've got a special name, but
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
scimitars.
They're the two stabbies.
Yeah, the two yes, I think you're right, Andrea. But I also Alexa, the two stabbies.
The twin stabbies.
I'm really excited for Origins. I think this is one of the first Assassin's Creed games that I've been legitimately excited for. I had so much fun watching Steimer play. It was such a beautiful game, like Andrea was saying, for all the same reasons. So something I sensed from watching Steimer play was that, and maybe this concern isn't valid, but I felt like with all the other Assassin's Creed games, I couldn't even breathe without a Templar jumping down my ass and be like, oh, you're evil, you're bad. I couldn't do anything. But I feel like you could actually walk around in this game and not get yelled at for breathing.
No, I totally agree, Britt. That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing too. I just over-policed you.
Yeah.
The last time you made that statement, Brittany, it was a Templar jumping on your balls, and now it's a Templar jumping down your ass. And I just wanted to point that out.
I think I forgot about that. It's true. It happens.
I'm sorry.
No, I love you.
Sorry, not sorry.
I was just jumping. How does it get down your ass? I just don't
Through the throat. I don't know.
Mysterious ways.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm excited to play more. I'm a little bummed that it's coming out 2 weeks after the next game I want to talk about, which is
it
Middle-earth: Shadow of War?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Steimer and I played this. We got a solid hour and change to play this at PAX West. And we played this also on an Xbox One X, and it looked gorgeous. I did have my Xbox One X overheat twice during my demo.
Ooh,
Twice. But we'll talk about that when I talk about my Xbox One X thoughts and concerns a little bit later. I just want to focus on the software right now because Monolith and Warner Brothers didn't make the Xbox One X, but they made a beautiful looking game that's so much fun to play. So Steimer, did you play Shadow of Mordor? Yes.
Did I play it?
It was your game of the year or something, right? You 100%.
I 100%ed it.
Amazing.
And that means I did all the dumb challenges that I don't normally do in video games, but I just wanted something to do, so I did them in the game.
Yeah, so Brittany, have you gotten to play this yet?
Yeah, I think, Alexa, E3, you and I got to play Shadow of War.
We did play at E3.
Okay.
For an hour, 45 minutes or so?
Yes.
Something like that. It was a good chunk of time. I liked it a lot.
Yes. It was the mission in the forest with the creepy talking lady who I guess we learn in the demo for PAX. There are two. There's the Balrog fight, and then there's the tree lady, right?
I didn't do any story content.
Okay.
When I did my demo.
I did the fight.
Yeah, so Steimer did a mission where she did the Balrog fight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I did a fort assault. So I did what's really part of like the open world sandbox experience, where the Nemesis system is back and it's bigger and better than ever. And if you guys didn't play the first game, the Nemesis system essentially is this really fantastic, innovative system that Monolith created, where the enemies in the world remember you and they remember your interaction with them. If you fought them and you lost, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember how the battle went. If you beat them and let them live, they're going to remember that. And what's really neat about it is it really makes for a unique, one-of-a-kind experience. And I was playing with Bob, one of the guys who works at Monolith. And
Bob Roberts?
That's correct.
He's so great. Hi, Bob.
He's very great. And he was just, it was just so fun having him there with me, because things kept happening with my demo, and he was like, okay, I guess that's happening now, because the way they've designed it is you never know when, let's say you're going up against a single, bodyguard for a war chief, and then another, other war chief just stumbles onto your fight, and now you have to fight two of them at the same time. Or maybe, a drake comes around, not me, but a dragon.
Thank you for saying drake and not dragon.
Well, they're called drakes in the game.
They are.
Yeah.
From one Tolkien lore hound to another, I appreciate that so much.
Of course.
Continue.
And, it's just like, it's so great that they have built all of this fun sandboxy stuff into the world where you can lose yourself in the immersion of this environment. And, it's so fun, and I really like how they've changed the skill tree to add some really high-level combat items. So when Bob and I were talking through it, he was like, there's some he showed me some stuff kind of deep in the skill tree, which was great. He kind of, they had kind of unlocked a bunch of stuff and given us a bunch of points to spend however we wanted to test it out. And there's like a ability where you can, when you dodge roll over people, you can freeze them in place and jump off of them. And then you can chain that with another ability where you can pull your arrow back in your quiver and pull your arrow back in your bow. That's what I meant. And it kind of slows down time and lets you aim. And it's just like, if you feel so powerful, as Talion, and it's just, I just love that game so much, and I'm so excited for it. And I hadn't really gotten a chance to spend any hands-on time with it. I'd been watching the previews and the trailers and everything that's been coming out. And it just like it takes everything you loved about the first game and just gives you so much more to do. So I've been talking a lot. Steimer, what did you think about your playtime?
I kept playing. It was one of those things where I kept looking at him and being like, do I have to leave? And he would look around and be
I know
like,
they had to kick us out.
No, but he'd be like, no, just keep playing. And I'm like, yeah. So he did that a few times, and then eventually it was like, okay, now you gotta go. Like, you've been here for a really long time. But I was just kind of, after doing the story mission, I just ran around and saw the sights, essentially. Got on
the sights of Mordor.
Yeah, got on a Cowardog, rode around, and I had the thing happen where two bros came at me, and I was like, uh-oh, run away. Killed one, or got one of them down to dominate, made him come onto my side. We fought the third guy, killed him. Then the other guy.
Say anything.
That's all.
Okay, get your minds out of the gutter.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We
I know
started
it's
this show by talking about nude mods. It's downhill.
Yeah.
from there.
Nude mods,
True.
Mordor
Yeah.
dominatrixes.
Then he betrayed me and started to attack me again, and I was like, motherfucker, really? And so I tried to kill him, but I missed the button prompt, and then he ran away, and I never saw him again. I imagine that I would have, if I had kept playing the game, run into him at some point, and then finally murdered him, but I didn't get that opportunity. But he was the guy I was playing with. I'm so sorry, I forget your name, sir. But it was like, I haven't seen that happen yet. That's cool. I'm like, yes, I would be the one to be betrayed first. So it's just how it goes.
Okay.
But they had a lot of I think I really agree with what you said, Andrea. Like, it feels like more like Shadow of Mordor, but better. And so, like, this was a game where the opposite of Assassin's Creed, I immediately picked it up and felt at home. I knew how to do everything, but that being said, there were still new, like, surprise and delight moments along the way. And I need to go back and just, like, briefly touch on Shadow of Mordor, because I don't remember it being as acrobaty. Like, but maybe I just forgot. But for instance, like, I feel like I can clear across much larger gaps with, like, the double jump you get with the Wraith.
Yeah. You can, like, it gives you a lot more airtime, and you can actually, I don't know if you've tried to do it, but you can help guide yourself down, like, if you want to do something. And then I believe one of this was in my E3 demo, you can, like, aim in the air and shoot, so you can kind of do, like, a Zelda hover.
Yeah. That's the ability that I unlocked. Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, they've got a lot of really fun stuff that just makes it feel really, like, fluid and fun. And, like, I climbed a tower in, like, 2 seconds because you can use the Wraith to help you jump really high. And then, you just, like, it just feels really good. I didn't get a chance to do the Fort Assault like Andrea did, so I have no idea what that's like. But I think the single-player stuff was really fun. Yeah,
the Fort Assault was fun because what we did is we went and took out some of the underlings before we did it. Because clearly, I mean, what's cool about it is, like, he was like, you could just go straight to the fort, kind of like you can go straight to Ganon in Zelda if you want to. But, like, you probably shouldn't, because you're not going to win. But you can. So we spent some time taking out a couple of the smaller connected towers to the main fort to help me in the fight overall so that I didn't get crushed in that fight. And that was really fun because I'm the kind of person who likes setting myself up for success, so I can already envision that I'm going to spend time taking out every single guy underneath before I get to, like, the main guy. Because somebody always crashes the party. There's always some random war chief.
Ranger, I'm going to boop you so hard you don't know you got booped.
Exactly. I have a really fun video from PAX West about these 2 amazing cosplayers in full orc garb walking around the convention center. They were very clearly paid by Warner Brothers because a guy with a Panavision camera was following them everywhere.
Clearly.
But they were awesome. But yeah, this game, I'm hype.
So pumped.
So excited about this game.
And you get to pick a bodyguard.
Like, right now, it's the only game that I think can challenge Horizon for Game of the Year for me.
Yeah, I think so too. But I liked being able to, like, have a bro with you.
Yeah.
You'd be like, bro, if you'll be my bodyguard, you orc, come. All right, so go ahead, Britt.
No, all I was going to say is I never played Mordor. It was something I always wanted to play. I watched Jason play it, and I know I would love it. Will I be able to get around to it before this next one? No, absolutely not.
That's okay.
No. You don't need to have played it in order to like this game.
They do a good job recapping the story and that, like, bits and bobs and whatnot.
I think the part that I would be really sad about is if I miss a lot of, like, lore and inside joke things that may have happened only if you played Mordor, but that might call me something. I'll just call you.
The good news about this game is that even though they have created, you know, some interesting, like, branching narratives, for the most part, like, it's all stuff that's, like, deep in Tolkien text. So, like, it's, like, really, like, super hardcore nerdy stuff from, like, the Silmarillion and other works from Tolkien. So you won't miss any inside jokes or anything, because even somebody like me who's a huge Tolkien fan, like, there's a lot of it that goes over my head because I haven't studied him the way that like Alexa Ray has, for example.
I did write my college thesis on The Lord of the Rings.
So noted.
Yeah, so don't sweat that part of it.
Alexa and Andrea might kill me for saying this, but I actually don't really play that game for the story whatsoever.
Oh, it's fine.
Like, the reason
why would I kill you for that? That's a
I don't know,
because how
you'd be
awesome the gameplay is.
Like, I 100% of that game, not because I cared about any of the characters, even the one you're playing as.
Who the fuck is Celebrimbor anyway?
I honestly don't know.
Britt's like, wait, what did
He's the man that lives inside me. That's all I know.
God.
That's what she said.
I mean, I guess technically. Okay. I didn't want to make this whole segment about Shadow of War. Alexa, you played a bunch of stuff at PAX.
I did. Are you ready for JRPG Power Hour? Because it's time.
Yes.
How about let's do one, and then we'll break, and then we'll come back and do more.
I will talk about one short one, and then I'll save the other two for the second half. So I'm not going to talk about Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 because I talked about it on the panel, and that's a great story to hear. But I did play the PC version of Final Fantasy 15 for a very brief time. And the big difference with the PC version, in addition to being able to see pores really clearly, it chugs. It looks beautiful, but it's chugging. Like it chugged a little bit when I was playing. And we were on like a really high-end PC. The game will ship with all of the DLC, all of the add-ons, all the free updates. Everything that's been released for Final Fantasy 15 so far will be in that one package. But the thing that the Steam version has that the console versions don't have is a first-person mode. And first-person mode in Final Fantasy 15 is nauseating.
It's not where I thought you were going with that.
Do you think that that's a frame rate issue?
It might have been a frame rate issue. So I started, and you can toggle it on and off as you're playing. So I was like, oh, first person mode, let's go. You play as Noctis. You are Noctis. You have his hands. You go. You are Noctis. And running around the countryside is like actually pretty nice. You can turn as you're running. I played in the Dusky region. So I was near Hammerhead with Cindy and all my buddies. And we went to Wiz Chocobo Post. And I'm running along the plains with my friends. And you can turn and like Ignis is here chatting with you. Or you can turn and Prompto will tap your shoulder and be like, hey man, Chocobos, blah. And it's really nice being in, first person, looking at stuff. And then you get to combat. And the combat in first person is always like it's not, I don't want to say it's not difficult to design a game with first person combat, because the thing about first person combat is you have to always think about, well, how close, like for the human brain, how close is this person going to be to you when you're stabbing them or punching them or whatever. And a lot of games do the first person combat thing exceedingly well. Final Fantasy 15, I have no idea what's going on. So I was fighting.
That's not good.
I was fighting a Garula, which are those furry little like heffalump things that wander along the grassways in most areas in Final Fantasy 15, and they're small and they're fluffy, and they would be about the babies that I'm fighting. I'm fighting the children are about this big, like this big. If you wanted to like fight them in real life, and the big ones are much bigger, maybe like a little bit bigger than like a hippo, and I started fighting one in first person, and the camera was just like, it was so close to the thing I was fighting. I had to imagine that it was here and I was like hitting it here. Like the fur was in my face and I couldn't really see past it. It was very, very overwhelming. And then as it happens in those games, those things swarm. So they all swarmed me and I was like, oh my God, I have to warp strike out of here. So I turned and I aimed at another one far away, and Noctis has a warp strike where in the game you just aim and you hit a button and you're gone, and it's very fluid in the original game. You can zip around, you can zip to special points to recover. So I see a recover point and I'm like, I'm just gonna zip to this recover point and take a hot second, and I warp strike to that recover point, and like all like the blue sparkles form around, but they form in like a halo, and then they just kind of like dissipate and you just go really, really fast. It's kind of like playing Tracer in Overwatch, but much more disorienting. And my stomach went, and I was like, oh God, I don't know how Noctis does it, because I can't. And it was a little jarring, and I had to toggle out. I toggled out and I was like, okay, went back to fighting normally. Everything was fine. And then decided to just do it again, and like talking to people, like it's fine. Everything is as it should be. But when you get into combat, it's just super duper duper a little super duper a little. It's very disorienting. And the warp strike made me sick, and it sucks because the warp strike is one of the better elements of Final Fantasy 15's combat. So that's happening.
That's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
It sounds like the camera zoomed in too close, and so like you can't get perspective on what's going on.
Yeah, I can't, like, you can't fix how close you are. You're just in first person, and then like a thing is in your face, and then you go. And I thought about this as I was playing the game. There's a major boss battle at like the halfway point of the game where you fight literally flying through the air with like water tornadoes, and it's the sorry, it's been like a year. It's the Leviathan fight. You're fighting big snake lady, and you get really close. You go in and you pull back. You go in and you pull back. The fight is all about the distance between you and this giant creature and closing it at the right moment in the right area, and then getting away as fast as you can and utilizing your environment and whatever. And you're surrounded by your spinning swords, so there's that visual element as well. And I thought about battles like that and about the Titan battle, which is super disorienting. Even when you're playing it, Brittany's nodding her head. Even when you're playing it just normally, it's very disorienting because like the objective doesn't pop up till like halfway through, and you have to cut off his arm, and the point you have to hit is very small. And I can't imagine playing any of those boss battles in first person. I would just like dissolve into a puddle of vomit. Like, I don't know that I would be able to do that. So we'll see how, like, if they fix it, if people, like, if they play test it, it doesn't work out, or if it goes out there and as it's in the wild, the benefit of it being on Steam is they can patch it like as much as they want. So we'll see.
Would you recommend playing it first person for everything but combat?
I mean, it's nice when you're like having a conversation with like Cindy or like with Prompto to be like, hey, what's up, buddy? And like talking to them, and you can get really close to things. But the one thing I didn't get to try, and I wish I did, was the camp, because I was wondering if you could eat first person food. But I didn't. But the chocobos are really nice to like get around. Like, it's fun to like just wander. But the first person mode is a little disorienting.
Got it.
Well, to be continued.
Did either of you play the PC version of Final Fantasy?
No.
Okay. So I guess we'll have to take a look at this when it comes out. When is it releasing?
It's supposed to come out at some point this fall, early next year, because Pocket version is coming out. The Pocket version is coming out in a couple months, and it will drop. All the episodes will drop at once. So I believe this is early 2018.
Yes, in 2018 is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are saying.
That's vague. Very vague. That's surprising, though. Making games is hard.
Yep.
I hope they fix that, because that sounds like a bummer town.
Right. I had better JRPG experiences, which I will talk about after our break.
Wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very short intermission. Please stay with us, and we will be right back. This episode of the What's Good Games podcast is brought to you by TakeThis.org. Hey, listen! Everyone struggles to feel good sometimes. Feeling depressed after a breakup or anxious about a job interview is part of life. And for some people, those feelings never really go away, or they get worse over time. If that sounds like you or someone you know, you're not alone. And there's help. At TakeThis.org, our friends at Take This have collected advice and articles from mental health workers and other people who've been there. From advice on how to find a therapist to when to know it's time to get help. TakeThis.org is a treasure trove of information about your brain and what to do when it hurts. Take This has been working to bring the mental health care community and the video game community together since 2012. If you or someone you love could use some perspective, visit them at takethis.org. And if you have the resources to donate or volunteer, takethis.org is where you do that too. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. All right, and we're back with segment 3, and I have to say the discussion during the break turned very interesting. It started off with talking about seeing people in cup noodle cosplay
Cup noodle
at PAX
hats.
West, and then it started talking about it being in Final Fantasy. You were saying something else about cup noodle.
The cup noodle. So there's a item in the game that's like a cup noodle hat, and we were talking about 15. I was playing the PC version, and I was driving behind a cup noodle van in my demo. And we were talking about how Cup Noodle had like sponsored the game, and how Cup Noodle is like all over the game, and how like Gladio like has a super boner for cup noodles.
He does. You go on an entire quest where you like gather these ingredients so he can have this perfect cup noodle. And I believe it was during one of those quests that it bugged on me, and the enemy that I needed to destroy, I think it was for the protein.
Yep.
It bugged. Yeah. And so it bugged. And so I spent like 2 hours trying to unbug it so I could get Gladio his goddamn cup noodle.
Man, guys, I just fucking love cup noodle. Cup noodle. Bros love cup noodle.
I think it's funny you build him one, because that's what you do in the Cup Noodle Museum. Plug.
Sponsor. No, they don't sponsor us.
They don't sponsor us.
They do not.
And I can't eat
want
it
cup
because
noodle.
I'm on a juice cleanse. I can't eat anything.
I haven't had one of those in years. I think they're pretty good, especially when you're drunk.
Cup noodles
Sodium
Because
bomb.
they have like 2,000 milligrams of sodium in them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You wake up bloated as fuck, but it's so worth it.
They're the best. I love them very much.
You
But
know,
I've never thought
I
of
would
making them into a
rather-
gourmet meal.
Yeah, I was supposed to. I'd rather just have real ramen, but sure.
Yeah.
But getting real ramen is impossible in a lot of places in this country.
That is true.
Not here.
Like
100%.
really impossible.
100%.
Like where I grew up in North Dakota, there's no ramen. There's no ramen joints at all.
Let's
I mean,
go
the
get
best you're gonna
ramen
get
this
is
weekend.
club ramen.
Do you
We
want to
should
get
build our perfect cup noodle as a segment at some point.
Okay, done. That's the next secret segment.
While wearing cup noodle hats.
Okay.
Well, that's like work to make though.
And
Yeah.
if we get Square Enix to send us some, because they've got to have some promotional items somewhere. Speaking of ramen, I played other Japanese games.
Yeah.
Bad segue is bad.
That was good.
Brittany, I'm going to talk about two in particular. I'm not going to talk about Fire Emblem Warriors, which a lot of you were asking me about. I did play it, but I'm getting code pretty soon, and I will talk about the finished game when I finish it, because I have too much to say about it. So, Brittany, you played about 15 minutes of Lost Sphear.
did.
Sphear. Lost
did.
Sphear.
EAR?
It's spelt Sphear.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It throws me off a little bit.
So this game is the second game. So Square Enix, a couple of years ago, founded a subsidiary studio specifically for the purpose of making RPGs that harkened back to the 1990s classic era of JRPGs. The studio's name is literally Tokyo RPG Factory.
This is true.
It is
That's
a
kind of an
studio
amazing name.
that pumps out an RPG every other year, and it is in Tokyo RPG Factory. And the head of the studio is Atsushi Hashimoto, who's worked on a bunch of Square titles in the PAX, and he's like this very jolly, happy, dreamy guy. And I played Lost Sphear with him, actually. Lost Sphear is the second title from Tokyo RPG Factory. I Am Setsuna being the first, and it is a kind of like top-down-y-ish. Like it's framed in 3/4, so you're looking down on the world and looking down on the characters running around through the world. The character designs are minimalist in the sense that like if you've played like Chrono Trigger or like Final Fantasy 6, that was like sprites and shit. But like Final Fantasy 7, like you look at the people on the polygons and it's like Cloud's wearing a purple jumpsuit and she's in a white booby top. Like you can just like, tell the art's very intricate, but in the game it's minimalist from the top down. And you play in a world. You play as a young boy named Kanata and his ragtag band of friends, as always. And the world is disappearing. And the game starts with this crazy myth that like the earth keeps getting, or the world keeps getting destroyed and reborn. And it is reborn by the memories of the people of that previous version of the world. So parts of the world are turning white and disappearing. And you as Kanata hold the key to restoring these parts of the world. And these memories, you restore them with memories, and the memories are little rocks called Sprite Night. And you have to go around the world and find out, one, why the world is disappearing, and two, use these little rocks to bring parts of the world back into existence. And that's like your quest line. And it's... Brittany, what did you think? Because you played...
I only played like 15 minutes of it. I got my first... I don't remember any of the names. I got my first companion, which was the cute girl. I think she had pigtails.
Oh, and Lumina.
Lumina. And it looked pretty. It gives me that old, like, nostalgic, I'm playing an old RPG from the 90s, just like I Am Setsuna did. But that is honestly as much as I can say, because, you know, these games take a while to unwind a bit.
Is it coming to the Switch?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
I actually played it. I played it on Switch. I played it on PlayStation 4 and I played it on Switch. And I actually really liked it better on Switch because I could like it just like it felt better.
For me, like JRPGs, for whatever reason, I prefer them on handheld.
On handheld.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Is it the maybe low grade graphics most of them have?
It's not.
No.
This one isn't low grade. It's very pretty.
I'm not trying to like throw shade. They just, most of them don't invest heavily in making them look really beautiful. I don't think that's
the older
I think
ones.
sprite art can be extremely beautiful.
Oh, I would 100% agree. But there's a lot of sprite art that's not like really well done in JRPG.
Sure.
Both of the JRPGs I'm going to talk about I played on the Switch, and they're both vastly different. Lost Sphear. So Lost Sphear, a lot of people complained in I Am Setsuna because it's a turn-based battle system. You wait for a gauge to fill up, and that's that character's turn to attack. So it's an active time. It's not turn-based. It's active time battle. I screwed up. It's active time battle, but it's still like you have to wait like your turn.
Is it like Child of Light?
Yes, like Child of Light. Except this time you can actually move your character around the battlefield. So let's say it's like Lumina's turn and she's a brawler. So she has to get close up to the enemies. And if you have 3 enemies up here and she can't reach them from where she is, you can move her to close in. And all of them have a little like attack radius. So she can punch 1, or another guy has a little bit bigger of a weapon so he can hit 2. And the enemies will move around the battlefield as well, and they'll knock you back or you'll knock them back. So you're actually moving around your battlefield, which I really appreciate, because having to like stay in one spot while your enemy can freely move around was really agitating in I Am Setsuna. The other big combat thing, like game looks pretty regardless, but the other big combat thing that like I'm really confused about, that I don't know how it fits in, I'm sure the story explains it, you have like mech suits because mech
I'm
suits,
okay with because,
and if you have these mech suits, you can like wear them. You can like summon them on, and then you can wear them for a certain amount of time, and then the gauge runs out if you've worn them too long, and then they has to recharge.
So it's like Titanfall. Get your armor and then it goes away.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, pretty much.
Really,
and you can, and your attacks are more powerful. And some of the larger like bosses and enemies definitely need that extra punch with the suit. They're called Volko suits.
Ooh.
And they're just really heavy armor with like and they temporarily up your stats. So it's like a little mini transformation. I don't know how they fit into the story yet. I'm sure we'll find that out, but it looks really beautiful. I love the combat. I love that you can move. I love the idea. I'm a Kingdom Hearts nerd, so I love the idea of like memory and loss and stuff like that as being like the central idea. And it's on Switch, and that's coming in January too. It's coming out really soon.
Nice.
If you call January soon.
That's
that was
soon
Lost
enough.
Sphear. And then the other game I played, and I don't know if any of you have touched this game at all, I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Ooh, I want to hear about it. Tell me. Huh.
Any of you played Xenoblade Chronicles 1?
I've seen people play them. Mm-hmm. I watched Colin play them.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like, I'm digging through my brain trying to like come up with a order that makes sense to explain all the different mechanics. And I can't. That game it looks great. It's on the Switch. Again, it's on the Switch, and I played it handheld and I watched it on the TV. And the environments are big and beautiful and lush. And I was in this like weird cavern with this like purple and blue glow, and it was misting. And there were like, I was running with my companions, and like the girl running next to me had these like tails on her cape that like wafted in the wind. When she stopped, they kept going, and like the wind and my hair, and it was, and like the enemies are like really creepy, and like everyone moves really like beautifully. Like it's a very beautifully designed game. And I was just like running around in this cavern admiring it. And then the HUD popped up, and that was the end of that.
Oh no.
The HUD is so cluttered, and like I'm all for having multiple systems you have to keep track of when you're fighting. I like, games like the Tales of series where you have like your main attacks, and then like your special attacks, and then your special attacks, and then your ultimate, and then your group ultimate, and then your sub ultimate or whatever. But the HUD, it was literally like there was something on the top. It was like battle, and it was like a gauge. And then there was another gauge over here that was your group super. And then there was all the people in your party and their health listed over here. So there's 3 people in your party. So them and all their health, and then their individual super gauges. And then down here you had 4 like sort of looked like the controller scheme, 4 circles that show the 3 companions fighting with your companions. So each companion gets a blade, which is a second companion that they equip for extra power. The blade is like a human weapon. So there's those 3, and you can toggle between which one you control or which one you have. You can change the one you have. And then the bottom, there was something else on the bottom. I wasn't even looking at it. I was so overwhelmed. And then there was another stack over here of gauges and words and just everything. And then popping up on the screen as you fought these enemies was what the status effect was of the enemy. If it was burning, it was a fire. If it was electrified, whatever. The enemy bar, and then all of the +5 combo, +2 combo, the numbers that you're hitting it, how much damage you're doing it, numbers flying. So it's words, numbers flying everywhere. And I was like, what am I looking at? It's so part of what turned me off from Xenoblade Chronicles Cross was the fact that I loved Xenoblade Chronicles 1. It was very sad and very great. But what turned me off from Cross is there was too much going on the screen, not in terms of actual action, but in terms of all of the things I had to remember to keep track of. And God bless the guy from Nintendo demoing this to me, because he was like, all right, and this is your ultimate. And you toppled him. So now you can use a blade attack. Oh no, your arts now you can summon your arts to hit him in the butt. I don't know. It was too much. It went beyond the idea of I have a weapon. This is how I'm using it. Here's my weapon and my magic. Here's my special attack. Here are the different elements or statuses I can inflict on an enemy. Here are the different statuses and elements that can affect me. Boom, go. It was too much going on at once, especially when you have companions and then the companions to your companions to keep track of. And then the weapons, Steimer's yawning exactly how I feel about what's going on here.
No, I glazed over a solid 5 minutes.
Meanwhile, I'm super into this. I'm oh my God.
I love, you know what? It looks beautiful. I'm going to play it and I'm going to be bad at it probably. I love complicated JRPGs. I love the systems. I love that stuff. I love getting into it and keeping all that shit to remember. But the HUD, and the guy was like, keep in mind, this is 15 hours in the game. And I was like, so you're just starting.
Right.
Because it's a JRPG. So this is 1 day of work here. And it was too much. And I'm really excited for that game. It's coming out at some point this fall. It's going to be out before the end of the year. They haven't announced a release date. But it was just...
Oh, is it really coming out this fall?
I don't know. But it looks fantastic. And the combat, the guy was flipping through everything. And it was amazing and beautiful and seamless and wonderful. And then when he went right out of combat and then decided to run up a hill into the major city, no load times, no nothing. Everything was there as you were running. It looks beautiful. Technology it looks great on the Switch. Too much stuff going on the HUD. That HUD is really terrifying. And I don't like numbers, so... We'll see.
So is the HUD necessary though? Is it necessary as it is?
Based on all of the different things you have to keep track of when you're in battle, your attacks and your enemies' attacks and your companions' attacks and your companions' attacks.
Yeah. Okay.
I would be very terrified to turn that HUD off. It's not like Breath of the Wild where it's all right, I kind of know what's going on here. I can turn everything off and go. I can't imagine turning that HUD off. It literally bordered the screen. It was like a frame.
I'm gonna have to find a picture of this.
But to me, that's still bad UI design.
Good UI design.
Yeah. You can have a lot of information on a screen presented to a player without it being a bunch of ugly ass bars.
Right. They were all gray.
Yeah.
All of it was gray.
Oh God,
do you think
it's
that's
awful.
Final menu art, or do you think that it's in progress? Because there's a lot of times when we'll play games, and if we're capturing, the dev team prohibits us from showing the menus because they're not final.
Yeah, the HUD's usually one of the last things that gets polished up. But if she says it's coming out this fall,
I've seen footage. This is the same demo that was at Gamescom. I've seen footage of those demos, and that HUD, that's the HUD. And
I'm looking at a picture of the HUD. And
are you looking at it?
I'm looking at a picture of the HUD, and that is intense.
It's intense.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of what turned me off from Cross, because Cross had a lot of systems. Because in addition to your normal JRPG bullshit, you had the mechs. And the mechs had their whole own different thing. So we will see. It looks really great. I'm going to play it because I have to. It's on brand.
It is on brand.
And I am interested in it. So we will see if it's something that maybe I get used to. Getting dropped in 15 hours is incomprehensible, or if it's something that I'm, maybe I'll get used to it, maybe I won't. That's Cross.
I know. I'm looking for 2 and I can't find it.
Andrea is looking at
I'm trying to find a picture of this HUD.
Britt, why don't you just send it to us?
I will do that.
I won't be able to look at it. You can look at it. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's cray.
It's cray. Okay. I wanted to talk for a second about Xbox One X. So I played finally for the first time 2 different demos on the Xbox One X at PAX West. I have spoken about that console on this show, on Kind of Funny Games Daily, on some other shows, about how I want Xbox to have a win with this console. And we have talked about how their pre-orders have done exceedingly well, that they have great numbers so far. Fans of Xbox are really interested. And I still was really hesitant because I was like, I don't know, $500 is a lot of money for another console that just does 4K. After playing a game that I love in 4K, I maybe be looking at buying a 4K TV specifically to play with an Xbox One X. That may be a thing that's happening right now.
My question is, though, why is it different than the PS4 Pro, which can also play 4K?
Because the PS4 Pro, I believe, isn't true 4K. It's like
it's just up-res
4K. And I need to get that clarified, and I know someone I can ask about that. But the thing is like I had never really found a game that I felt compelled to play in 4K. Like I played Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4 Pro on our 1080p. Like we have a really high-end television, but it doesn't do 4K, but I think it can do HDR. I mean, and some people want to argue that HDR is technically a better visual experience than 4K, that's the more important technical thing you need to be talking about.
All I hear are letters. I don't understand what's happening.
HDR is high dynamic range. It really just means like the brightness of the colors, how rich and deep the blacks are, how vivid the colors are, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. Basically, it talks about how how inky like the graphics can look. I'll show you some visual examples after we're done taping the show. So the reason why I'm excited about this is because I don't play games on PC. Everybody who's listening to the show or watching the show who's a PC gamer is like, well, duh, the PC Master Race have been enjoying these beautiful graphics for years.
Whatever.
And to that, I would say, I just have never chosen to be a PC gamer. It's just not the kind of lifestyle that I want. Like, I love sitting on my couch with my controller, kicking back with my television. And I know that Steam has implemented a bunch of functionality where you can have that experience now, but it's not a traditional PC gaming setup. And most PC gamers out there would probably agree with me that they aren't playing on their couch with a controller. They're playing with mouse and keyboard at their desk. And that's why I've always been a console gamer, but I don't know what it was that spoke to me about these two experiences that made me understand why people are excited. I had to see it for myself. I had to play it for myself. That being said, it was a concern of mine that during my demo, it overheated twice in 60 minutes. So
twice in 60 minutes.
Let me give some context because that's important. So they were the boxes, which are not final retail. And because they were not final retail, they had to have them covered. So they had the boxes, the box itself wasn't covered. It was inside of an entertainment center that had like a little canvas panel over the top of it, over the front where normally the opening would be where you would be able to go and like insert a disc into your console. That had like a piece of canvas or some kind of fabric over the front of it with branding to essentially hide all of the guts of everything that was inside the entertainment center. The back of the entertainment center was closed. It wasn't open.
Okay.
Now, most entertainment centers have the ability to take that panel off. Some do not. Some have holes in that panel to allow for ventilation. And then others still are completely open and they're designed open. As somebody who's had maybe 3 different types of entertainment centers over the last decade, I think that it's problematic that you need to have proper ventilation in order to prevent your console from overheating. Now, some people out there would say that that's kind of technology 101. Like if you're going to have a piece of high-end electronics, you want to make sure to set it up for success. which I would say, yeah, you're not wrong, but Xbox had a terrible problem with overheating with the 360, right? Like the red ring was real. Like it was a really gigantic problem for them. And the idea that this might be a thing, like it made me kind of a little worried. I mean, obviously it was a shitty experience for me playing my game and being dropped out of the game. Imagine if I wasn't like at a save point, or if I was in the middle of a cutscene, or a variety of reasons why you don't want your console just blacking and turning off, right?
Yeah.
I want to say like, hey, I don't want to overreact, but I thought it was worth mentioning because this is something that you need to be aware of, that this happened. So I hope that this was just like a one-time incident, because all of the other consoles in that room were fine. None of the other consoles.
Say, counterpoint, mine was completely fine and I played straight for over an hour.
Right, well, because I couldn't, because my console shut off twice.
Right. I'm saying, yeah.
Right, but there were like 7 Xbox One X's in that room, and mine was the only one that overheated.
Do you think maybe it was just really excited to meet you?
That happens a lot when people meet Andrea.
Britt, what were you saying?
No. It's true. Like, you don't want to overreact, but still, like, who knows? That could be like a 1 in 7. I doubt it is. But the fact that you're still overheated and there were 7 in there, it's something worth mentioning. So I'm glad you're bringing it up. But I'm also glad you're saying that you don't want to overreact, because who knows? It could have been a fluke.
Although what I'm wondering is, what you're saying is, it sounds like when it starts to overheat, it turns itself off, which to me would prevent it from ever red ringing the way that the 360 did. Like, I mean, that's not going to brick, hopefully.
But still.
Right. But I think what I would rather have the console do is, instead of just shutting off and saying, oops, we got too hot, I would hope that the tech team that built this, the hardware team that built this console, would have maybe thought it worked with software in some way to be like, hey, maybe we can put some kind of a warning system in place to be like, hey, like have a pop-up notification, say, hey, the
console's fucking hot
of your unit is getting high. If you don't take a break, or if you don't get better ventilation, it's going to shut down. Right? Or like how my MacBook says, oh, we're gonna go off if you don't plug us in the next, you have 10% left. You better find an outlet. Otherwise, we're just gonna turn off. It doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Like that technology exists. So I don't know why that didn't happen with the Xbox One X, and why that's not in place. And maybe that's something I could reach out to Microsoft about and be like, hey, this happened to me. Are you guys aware of this as an issue? Is this an issue? Have you seen this before? And see what they say. I have a strong feeling they're going to say no comment, but I think it's worth asking.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still want to get one.
I know.
That's the takeaway here, that playing Shadow of War and playing Assassin's Creed Origins on the Xbox One X really, to me, demonstrated the thing that none of their first-party games have yet demonstrated to me, which is, hey, this is a piece of software that makes it worth buying this piece of hardware. And that's been my chant every time I talk about this game, every time I talk about the moves that Microsoft is making. I say, none of your first-party lineup is impressing me enough to want to buy this. But I guess the partners have really stepped up and said, hey, we'll take up that mantle. Play our game on Xbox. Play it wherever you want. We're going to make it look great. And both, Warner Brothers and Ubisoft did. I mean, really more Monolith, but the game looks fantastic.
I think it's funny because I've always said the same thing. Like, it's not enough. The software is whatever. It's just not worth me buying a 4K TV and a new console. And then I saw how freaking pretty it was. And then I felt like I don't know what the word is. Like, I ate my words because I'm like, oh, it's pretty. I want it. And I'm actually going to be looking to get a 4K TV in the next week or so before I leave for it's going to be like mine and Jason's like gift to ourselves because it is so pretty. And I now I want it too. And I guess that's all it takes is something pretty and shiny.
It is pretty tempting.
It is so pretty.
I mean, if you've been on the fence, if you haven't upgraded, if you didn't get the Pro, or maybe you're still even in the previous generation, some people still are. Maybe you are a PC gamer that wants to get into console gaming. I mean, there are reasons. I just don't think that it's a necessity. But if you're at a point where you're ready to make the jump, I'd say you could make the jump.
It real pretty.
It is pretty.
Again,
I think it's funny that you guys were like sold. So I'm still not. I mean, I'm not like anti it by any means, but
no, that's okay to not be sold.
I'm just like, okay, that looked really nice. But for Assassin's Creed, I think the environments looked way better. Like, the people still don't look great. The animations it didn't fix the animations.
That's
sorry.
True.
No amount of 4K can do that.
A little derpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Shadow looked great, like so good. But that's $500.
I want one.
So much money.
But I almost want to wait until like a nice color comes out.
Yeah,
like a white one. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I have too many little black boxes in my room. So I would like less of them.
So do like different color consoles, like is that a really big selling point for anyone?
Is it a big one? No. Do I like them? Yes. Do I like looking at them? Hell yes.
I mean, I was always a proponent of like special editions of consoles are like super lame, but now I have the Final Fantasy 15 Slim. That's what I play on. It's very beautiful and it's displayed in my room. And I got those freaking ridiculous neon yellow Joy-Cons for my Switch. And they're sitting next to my giant ass VCR of an Xbox One. That's just like and it doesn't look pretty. And like, I am a lady who likes pretty things. And I think I might just wait until they announce a white one because it matches my decor better. I don't know.
They have a white Xbox One S.
Oh, they do. No, the X.
Oh,
they'll do it. They'll do it eventually.
They have a white PS4 Pro.
They do. I thought about getting the S, but because the other one was so big, and then I was like, well, just forget it. I'll just wait for them to announce the X.
Yeah.
Too many freaking consoles.
I mean, but that's why
they will eventually do a white.
They skipped over the S altogether, and they pre-ordered the X.
Mm-hmm. How about a pink one? Can we get like a hot pink?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, because
you can get them specially covered yourself on like colorware.
Yeah,
that's too much effort.
Console skins.
I just want Microsoft to make it for me.
I brought this up because yesterday, which was Tuesday, Andrea was over here, and we were at Best Buy to pick up a headphone jack thing. And I was trying to convince Jason to get a PS4 Pro. I'm like, you're out of space. You should get one. We're going to upgrade our TV anyway. And then Andrea was like the final push that like convinced him to do it. And so we go to Best Buy. We get the black PS4 Pro. Wonderful. I'm like, okay, now install it and start getting Destiny 2 going so we can play tonight because we had to visit his parents. And by the time I got home, it was going to be late. And I wanted just to be able to hop into Destiny 2. And then Andrea mentions this white Destiny 2 console.
Andrea!
Why did you get the black one when you could get the white one?
Because Best Buy only had one black one left. And so then Andrea mentions the white one. And now all of a sudden, Jason's like tunnel vision. He's like, I just kind of want a white console. I'm like, okay, fine. So he calls like half a dozen stores, and he finally finds one that has it. And which meant that he went in with Andrea, put money down. He couldn't pick it up at the time because I think at that time it was like 6 p.m. and GameStop for whatever reason was like, no, you can't buy this now.
Because it had the Destiny 2 disc inside.
But the servers weren't live yet anyway, right?
I know, but technically if you had the disc, you could start playing early.
Oh. So it's not so having a disc isn't the same as just preloading the game?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on the type of game it is. But specifically for Destiny 2, if you had a physical disc in your possession, you could have started playing it on Tuesday because a lot of media outlets started playing it early because they had special codes. But if you had a physical disc and you put it in your console, it would work.
Okay.
Which is why they were not allowed to distribute them or sell them before 9 p.m. Pacific time when the servers were live.
Well, that makes sense. So anyway, point being is now he's like, oh, I have to get this white PS4 Pro. So, okay. So now it's like 10:45 at night. We go to this GameStop, and they're still in the store, but they're closed. They won't let us in. They won't ring them up. And so we had to go back this morning, so we still haven't played Destiny 2 together. That's my story. It's not a great story, but that's my story. All because he wanted a white console. And to me, I don't give...
It's the siren song of the future. It looks like the future. Because it does. It's like every imagining of what the future would be like in the 60s, that it's just like sleek white walls and shiny white surfaces. It looks like the future.
I mean, I have 2 white PS4s, so...
I was very tempted by the white Destiny PS4 Pro because I'm like, my PC case is white. It would be nice. I think I will probably do what Alexa's doing and wait for the Xbox One X to come out in white because I know they'll do it eventually. And then I can have like all pretty, clean, modern-looking things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it might bother me if they don't match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I just don't care.
It stresses
Isn't
me
that
out a
just the
lot.
thing?
It stresses me out a lot that my PlayStation 4 is behind my giant Xbox box, and then in front of it is my like super happy like turbo pop like Switch with like the bright yellow like handles. It's crazy. It all has to match. Just make bright yellow everything.
There is one other game I wanted to talk about that I played at PAX West, and this is a game called Runer. And it
Runer?
is Runer.
Runer.
Like,
Like
I'm gonna
runes?
ruin your day.
A ruiner.
But they just
Can you
called
just
it
spell it?
Runer. They didn't say
But
ruiner.
runer sounds like you're saying the word rune like you're like you're someone who does stuff with runes. Ruiner.
Yes, it's true.
Ruiner.
Ruiner.
So it's RUINER.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So this game is being published by Devolver Digital.
Cool.
And it launches in a couple of weeks. Actually, it's coming out very soon. And I normally, when a game references Hotline Miami, I'm like, nah, that's not going to be for me. Because I did not like Hotline Miami. I totally appreciate it for what it was from like a game making perspective. But like, I don't like games that are like that punishing. I don't have the patience for them. So I was hesitant about playing this, but I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I really got into my playtime. So this game is top down, but it feels more like 2.5D than straight 2D like Hotline Miami was, but it's kind of that same isometric perspective, like up and over the shoulder, and it's very cyberpunk. So the description reads, it's a brutal action shooter set in the year 2091 in the cyber metropolis Rangok, like Bangkok. A wired sociopath lashes out against a corrupt system to uncover the truth and retrieve his kidnapped brother under the guidance of a secretive hacker friend. So you play this guy who has this mask on his face.
Is he the ruiner?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
And that mask is hacked by this evil enemy who is telling him to go kill people. So it's like he's wearing it's like a face. It covers his face all the way, almost kind of like a Bane mask, not like Bane from the movie, but like the actual
mask,
comic Bane.
Oh, okay.
And this hacker girl is trying to stop him from when his brain gets hijacked. She tries to come in and like give it back to him, but essentially you run through the world. It's a twin stick shooter, and you're trying to meet up with this girl and figure out why this is happening to you, and essentially like defeat all the bad guys. And the art is really cool. It's incredibly well done, and the cutscenes that they have, while there aren't many of them, they have a really cool visual style to them. And sometimes with indie games, you can see the fact that it's a small team. You can see that they probably had to take shortcuts in visuals because high-end fidelity visuals are really expensive. But this looks really incredible. I was very impressed. And the gameplay was pretty easy to pick up. There's like a variety of weapons, and you learn you have different abilities, like, so there's like an energy meter system, and then you have a health meter, and there are different pads in the world that you stand on that will refill your health. So as you're moving through the world, you can find like an energy pad and stand there and it'll fill your meter, and then you use your energy to execute specific moves. So you have a variety of guns, and you have a melee weapon. You can switch between guns and melee. They have, kind of like your stereotypical like shotgun, pistols, crowbar, things like that. But the gameplay felt super slick, and I was playing it on easy mode.
Baby mode.
Full disclosure, I wasn't about to make an ass of myself in front of the like 50 people that were watching me play this on a gigantic screen at PAX West. And I still got my ass handed to me when I got to the end of the level. And it was really, the thing that I sometimes hate about twin stick shooters is that they just feel so like busy. Like there's like a lot of stuff going on screen at once. And to me, like visually I'm just like, I can't deal. There's just too much shit on the screen right now. And this didn't feel that way. It felt very purposeful, but it felt like it really eased you into how the mechanics of dodging and shooting were going to ramp up. So that way, when you got to the final boss at the end of the level, you didn't feel like you were being thrown into the deep end and it was an impossible win. Like, I died a few times, but I didn't die an overwhelming amount of times to the point where I got frustrated and wanted to put the controller down and walk away. And that to me is a win for people like me who are interested in this genre of games or this style of games, but have been incredibly intimidated by them in the past. And I didn't get to see it on the harder modes, but I have to imagine if you are the person who enjoys that, that there is no shortage of difficulty for you to try out. So I really like this game, and I just wanted to give it a little shout out and say, I'm going to try you now. Thank you for making me
shout out.
Thank you for not ruining this experience for me.
Exactly. But yeah, did you girls play anything else at PAX you want to talk about?
I played Monster Hunter World, and I'm not going to go on a tangent about it because I already did 2 of those today. I've never got the TLDR is I never got into Monster Hunter. I have friends that absolutely love it and worship it. And that game has predominantly been on the 3DS up to this point. Imagine co-op Dark Souls, but instead of fighting nasty ass supernatural creatures, you're fighting only sometimes nasty ass big monsters.
Sometimes nasty ass
only
monsters.
Sometimes nasty ass monsters.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's great. I had so much fun.
Okay.
I've never been a Monster Hunter person. It didn't the idea of going out and just like hunting things for their skins or catching them just to catch them never really like appealed to me, because that's the whole game. The whole through line is you're building out your bestiary, which I guess is Pokemon. That might be why I abandoned Pokemon. Wow.
Realization.
But so I played with our named PA and Brandon Jones, actually, from Easy Allies, sat down with me, and then a random person who had never met. And the 4 of us teamed up and went out into the world. And you can go out alone and then call your friends to come to you. So if you're like going out and you find a giant lizard and you're like, oh, friends, come help me. You can summon them or send like a signal and they'll come and they'll help you take it down. And it's not like you hit it in one area, like you stand there and you hit it until it dies. The thing will move, it will leave, it will try to escape. So you have to go after it. It will hide. You have to track it. You have to track it. So you track it, find it, fight it. It'll leave. You might have to track it again. You can leave it alone or you can go after it again. It'll fight you back. It'll summon more friends to like help him fight you. And I actually really liked it. There's a lot of skill involved and it's really tough. And these creatures have like Dark Souls level health. Like these creatures are very hard to take down. It's not like, like Final Fantasy 15, you walk up to the behemoth and you know that after 2 minutes of just hitting it, it's gone. The enemy AI is very unpredictable and the way these creatures move is unpredictable. And at the beginning of the game, you don't know anything about them. So you have to remember, oh, this is this kind of creature. This is how it moves. This is what it does. This is its behavior. And you really have to learn about your prey. Like the game will keep track of stuff for you, but you have to remember the stuff that you've fought and what you've caught and how it behaves. And I really like it. It was a lot of fun. And it looks great I played on PlayStation 4. It looks great on a TV with nicely, not 3DS graphics. So I think this might be the first Monster Hunter game I go for.
Nice. Jason and I have played Monster Hunter. But the problem that on 3DS, the issue we ran into is the learning curve was so massive that we weren't sure what the hell we were doing. And we felt like, because I don't think in the 3DS versions there are health bars. So you don't know. You can only tell when they're getting close to the end because they'll start limping or they'll start like bleeding or something.
There's no health bar in this one either. Right. The limping and the bleeding is still a thing.
Okay, yeah. And then you have to track it, and then I think if too much time goes by, it'll like regen some health, maybe. Yep. I don't know. Yeah, okay. And so we're like, what the hell are we doing and why are we doing this? But I'm wondering if it being on console, if it'll be a little more easier to understand like what you're doing and why you're doing it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The HUD wasn't unbearable like certain other games I talked about today. The girl at Capcom who walked me through it is like a super duper Monster Hunter fan, and she was saying like it being made for console and it being made for like trying to hit a little bit of a wider audience. They have taken into account stuff like that, like the learning curve, like if you haven't played a Monster Hunter before, how do we make this a little more friendly
accessible
for you so you can get into it without dumbing it down. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right. This has been a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Brittany.
Hi.
Is not going to be with us for the next 2 weeks.
I wonder why.
Congratulations. Brittany's getting married.
Thanks. I'll be thinking of you guys. I'll miss you.
No, you won't. Don't think about
I
it.
hope not. You're like walking down the aisle. You're like, I wish.
I wonder what Andrea and Christine and Alexa are doing right now.
Did they set the Twitter post to go live at the right time? No, I didn't. I'm going to fuck it up, Britt, just so you know.
It's fine.
Twitter takeover. All Kingdom Hearts gifts for 2 weeks.
But we will be going strong. Don't you worry. We'll have plenty of games to talk about. There's lots of stuff happening, and it's just going to be a giant snowball from here into the end of the year with so many video games.
From here on out, this
insane.
Is the sprint. This is the sprint to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All the games between. Oh God.
At least they delayed some stuff, like they always do.
Not
and you're
enough
like, oh,
stuff
God.
got delayed though.
No.
Please delay more stuff.
More
it's
stuff
fine.
needs to go to next year.
It's fine. Please delay more stuff.
But we want to thank everybody for listening to the show. If you have not yet subscribed on your podcast service of choice, we would greatly appreciate it if you did. If you could leave us a rating, we would also love that. Please subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. You can follow us on Twitter at whatsgood_games. You can be part of our awesome Patreon community at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And we really, love that community, and everyone is so great. And thank you again to everybody who came up to us at PAX. I know we got a lot of questions about the merch that we are selling at PAX. We are still working on merch options. I know I've said that a couple times now, but I promise we are still working on it. We're hopefully going to get it up and running soon. And I think that's all I have. Did I forget anything?
Nay.
Nope.
I don't think so. Nailed it as usual.
Thanks. I'm going to be on Destiny 2 all weekend. If you see me, let's squad up. I believe we have a WGG Destiny clan, even though we didn't talk about the news that technically clans aren't live yet. That's a whole thing that Bungie didn't mention was going to happen. But not worth discussing at this point. So thanks everyone for listening. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next week.